So this old Mohammed Rafi song, I was just came to my mind. कोई सागर दिल को बहलाता नहीं, कोई सागर दिल को बहलाता नहीं, बेखुदी में भी कराराता नहीं, बेखुदी में भी करार आता नहीं. So the meaning of the two lines for is koi sagar dil ko behlata nahi. Sagar is, and of course, a sea, an ocean. It can also mean a drink. So koi sagar. So no matter what objects or experiences I turn to in the world, whether it's a drink or some activity or something, koi sagar dil ko behlata nahi. Nothing is satisfying my heart. Koi sagar dil ko behlata nahi. To the extent, to such an extent, कि बेखुदी में भी करार आता नहीं. Bekhudi means being intoxicated or drunk or losing awareness of your body. Even in that, even karar aata nahi. Karar means resolution or satisfaction. Bekhudi mein bhi karar aata nahi. So no matter, even if I drink myself senseless, if I drink and become intoxicated, even then I don't feel satisfied. So this is, it's a song about the human condition, that we search for some source of joy, some source of satisfaction. And no matter where we turn, it's not there. And why is it not there? It's not there because what we are looking for does not exist in the world of objects. And we go around desperately searching for that in the world of objects, whether it's in money, or whether it's in terms of power, or in terms of comforts, or in terms of things. We look for this out there because we are trying to heal our deepest wound. And no matter where we turn, that wound does not get addressed, does not get healed. And what is that wound? But anyway, we can hear the antra, the next line. मैं कोई पत्थर नहीं, इंसान हूँ. मैं कोई पत्थर नहीं, इंसान हूँ. कैसे कहूँ कि कैसे कह दूँ, गम से घबराता नहीं. कोई सागर दिल को बहलाता नहीं, बेखुदी में भी कराराता नहीं. मैं कोई पत्थर नहीं, इंसान हूँ. So this is the desperate cry of the separate self. The cry of the separate self which says, I'm not made of stone, I have a heart. And how can I say that I'm not afraid of grief or sorrow or suffering? And also, of course, at the same time, ये इकरार करता है, acknowledge करता है कि I am suffering. कैसे कह दूं कि गम से घबराता नहीं. And what is that wound? Ultimately, what is the wound? What is that which is looking for healing? and it is nothing but the very wound of existence. The wound of existence is the wound of separation. Separation is a necessary condition for existence. To take this form itself, we must separate ourselves into two. That from which we have come and what this contracted self, which from whose point of view life is experienced. And forgetting that I'm actually and truly that from which I have come. And then जब ये separation एक बार जब हम भूल गए कि हम कौन है, क्या है, then the whole life is a search for that connectedness, for that same source from which we have separated. And we don't know this. We don't know that this is what we are really looking for. We are looking for the divine. We are looking for our own self, our own true self is what we are looking for. That peace of our own self, the peace, the love, the joy of being in truth, being in love, being in beauty. That is what we are desperately seeking once again. And seeking to find how to merge again with that which we are. So, but we don't know this unless we part of ये जन्म जो लिया है, ये शरीर का रूप जो धारण किया, ये सेपरेट सेल्फ का जो हमने एक रोल जो ले लिया है, one of the conditions of that role is to forget who you truly are. That is part of the whole game that we have set up. The actor gets on the stage and then forgets that he or she is only acting. And then the whole drama becomes a desperate search for who you really are. So, and then that desperate search is what leads to so many things. At least this particular singer, this poet is only talking about becoming desperate and sad. But for some people, wahi desperation, wahi sadness, that can lead you to even more desperate acts. This person is stopping at maybe a few drinks in the bar and wondering what life is all about and feeling sad and so upset and intoxicated and goes home again disappointed with what life brings. But there are some people who take it even further. That desperation becomes so unbearable, so intolerable that they are willing to go to any lengths to वो जो दिल का करार चाहिए, बेखुदी में भी नहीं मिला तो कुछ और ढूंढो, एडिक्शन में ढूंढो, then addiction से भी नहीं मिला तो then anger is a result, and even more desperate, then seek it in power, seek it in subjugating somebody else, seek it in violence. We seek that in others somehow others must satisfy me, and if they don't, then I'm willing to go to any lengths to make that happen. And it could take the form of violence, murder, and war, and stealing, and all that, everything, all crime is ultimately nothing but a desperate search for the true self. Desperate search for connectedness, desperate search for the divine. Terrorism, nothing but a desperate search for the true self. Desperate search for love, a desperate search for truth, but a misguided one, looking in the wrong direction, thinking that bahar kahin milega, koi sagar dil ko behlata nahi, ye sagar, wo sagar, ye sagar, wo sagar, lekin pata nahi ki main khud wo sagar hu, भूल गए कि मैं ही सागर हूं. तो सागर में ढूंढते हैं जैसे ऐसे तड़पों के जैसे जल बिन मछली, वो भी गाना सुना होगा. जैसे जल बिन मछली, जल में ही है लेकिन ढूंढ रही है जल. So that desperate search is what this song is about. So मैं कोई पत्थर नहीं इंसान हूँ, कैसे कह दूँ गम से घबराता नहीं. And then the last resort, is to look within. And this जो last इसका अंतरा है और एक, is talking about that looking within and how that is also lost. So जिंदगी के आईने को तोड़ दो, जिंदगी के आईने को तोड़ दो, इसमें अब कुछ भी नजर आता नहीं, कोई सागर दिल को बहलाता नहीं, बेखुदी में भी कराता नहीं. So this last stanza is जिंदगी के आईने को तोड़ दो. This mirror called life, even break that mirror. And the interesting part is the Kavi, the writer, recognizes that life is a mirror, first of all. Okay, this whole life is nothing but a mirror to see our true self, see who we really are. And but when you are in that unguided or misguided search for the truth, even this very clear indication or possibility of discovering who you are by looking in this mirror called life, when you look closely, you find that you don't exist, you are not there, there's nobody there, there is only divine, there is only this duty, there's only this truth, only the love. This body is just made up, an illusion, these thoughts just come and go, this mind is made up. So the life offers you the opportunity to remove this screen, remove this veil. जो पर्दा है उसको हटाने का मौका देती है जिंदगी. By showing a mirror to you, look, you are looking all over, but you're not finding. Maybe you need to look in the other direction. You look here, you look there, you look up, you look down, and you don't find it. And life keeps on telling, it's not here, it's not here, it's not here. Look within, look inside, look at who you really are. But you're so busy looking outside that you look at that mirror also and say, ye mirror bhi nahi chahiye, ye mirror ko hi tod do. Zindagi ke aine ko tod do. Desperate enough. This is actually, in a way, it is saying, Zindagi ke aine ko tod do, matlab zindagi ko hi khatam kar do. It's that desperate that you're willing to actually give up, destroy your own body, your own life, and leave the world. इसमें अब कुछ भी नजर आता नहीं. I don't see it. And how we don't see it and why we don't see it is because we have our eyes closed. We are not willing to look. We are so mesmerized by this outside sagar, so mesmerized that we refuse to look. And when we refuse to look, we can't see. And the more we can't see, the more we close our eyes and the more desperate we get. And now we are on a self-destructive path of no return. जहां बेखुदी में भी करार आता नहीं, इसमें अब कुछ भी नजर आता नहीं. So, but at the same time, this is a very, 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 very important stage that you reach when you get desperate. When you get desperate, that's when the possibility of the light entering happens. If you are leading your life, not even searching, you are simply not even aware of this wound. You're not aware of this separation. You're not aware of what you're looking for. And you're just blundering through life on automatic mode, on cruise control. Then that is even worse situation than what this poet is describing. At least out of this desperation, the search, the thirst is there. The thirst is there. Such a desperate thirst. कि कोई सागर दिल को बहलाता नहीं. No matter where I look, I'm not quenching my thirst. And that thirst will eventually bring you to yourself. But if that thirst also is missing, then you really miss the boat. And that is the condition of most of the people on the planet. They are so mesmerized by the outside world, by the whatever it is that takes their fancy, whether it is, I don't know. People seem to be spending their time and energy more interested in things of the object world, mesmerized by it, not even feeling this, what is missing, not even raising that question to themselves. That ye jo, it's like if you're in a dream, you're so mesmerized by the dream that the thought that is this a dream never comes to you. So then the dream just continues until life ends, and then the time for this body and for this body mind is over. And you eventually wake up from that dream. But it is a rude awakening. It is a rude awakening, because then you sit at the end of your life and wonder what happened. Where did this dream, which is about to end, what was it really? Maybe in those last moments, at least that desperation may come. And even in that last moments, there is a possibility of enlightenment. But so at least this particular poet has gone the whole way. You know, when you have gone this far, when your thirst is so strong, so high, then the possibility of enlightenment is very near. You may have all heard the story of Angulimal, right? Angulimal was a dacoit living in some of the most dangerous forests of India during the time of the Buddha. And so he was such a mean and cruel and so violent person. Anguli is fingers, mal means necklace. He had made a necklace of fingers of people that he had killed. So this is how cruel and mean and desperate Angulimal was. And the Buddha was to pass through his area on his way to some place. And people told him that, please do not go through this part because it's possible that Angulimal may show up. And he doesn't know who you are, and he may take your life. So don't go there. But Buddha, being the Buddha, said, I can go wherever I need to and where I want to, when I want to. And Angulimal or not, whoever he is, he's still part of the same reality, the same oneness, the same truth. And even if he's misguided and desperate and violent, that doesn't mean I cannot be with him. So he goes into the forest, and sure enough, deep in the forest with nobody to save him, Angulimal shows up and comes face to face with the Buddha. And true to his normal behavior towards anyone, he's ready to cut off the head of the Buddha. But unlike any other being that he has encountered before, the Buddha looks at him with no fear, with no consternation, with no hatred, in fact, with eyes of love, about how this being, this soul, has so desperately forgotten their true nature. So far from running away, the Angulimal is used to people try to run away, they get fearful and they scream and they cry and they beg for mercy and all of that. But instead, here is this being who is completely silent, completely still, quiet, only looking at Angulimal with eyes of love and not a trace of fear. And in that one moment, Angulimal simply woke up. That if somebody can be so fearless, there must be something that they have understood. There must be something that they know, which I don't know. Because I still operate out of fear. And here is this person in the face of death of the body, is completely calm, completely quiet, and still compassionate. And in that one moment, he realizes and remembers. It's just like a snap of the finger, and he attains that state of connectedness with his true self. And then in one instant, he's completely remorseful of all the actions that he has committed, and becomes enlightened and a disciple of the Buddha. He said, from now on, I cannot do anything except be with you, and you please guide me and lead me. And so he joins the Sangha, and then of course, whatever atonement he needed to do for his actions, he would have done, and attained this state of connectedness and oneness and enlightenment. So point is that when you have this desperate search for the truth, that is when enlightenment is near. It's possible. If you're going through life not even experiencing this thirst, ye thirst hi agar nahi hai, so then the water also doesn't give you any satisfaction, because it means nothing for you. The knowledge, the understanding means nothing to you. But when the thirst has been there, then that desperation brings truth. You remember, I also reminded of Vivekananda's story of his enlightenment. I don't know if you all know or remember. So he knew Vivekananda also was in this quest, in this thirst, that there is something beyond this body, beyond this senses. What is that? What is that? And what is this God? It must be this God. How do I see? How do I experience this? And he's with his Guru Ramakrishna, and he's asking him, how can I see this divine truth that I know is there, but I don't experience it, I don't feel it? And the story goes that they were in a boat at the time, and a small boat, and Ramakrishna just, you really want to see God? And he says, yes, I'm thirsty, I'm desperate. But he says, so he took him by the head and just put his head into the water where he couldn't breathe. And that, of course, when you can't breathe, you're desperate for a breath of air. And he's struggling to come out, and Ramakrishna kept his hand inside the water, and he couldn't breathe, desperate to breathe. And somehow, finally, after a lot of struggle, lot of desperation, his head, he frees himself and comes out and takes one breath. And Ramakrishna says, when your surge, when your thirst for the divine is as desperate as you were for your next breath, when your search is that desperate, you will immediately see that is the level of desperation you need. That is the level of thirst. We are so comfortable in our life that desperation बहुत दूर रह जाता है. That desperate, या ठीक है सत्संग जाएंगे चलेंगे देखते हैं. But that desperate search for truth, that desperate desire to know, to understand, what is this life? What am I? Who am I? What am I here for? When that question consumes you to a same extent as Vivekananda's desire for the next breath while you are submerged in the water, utna desperate ho jayenge, then clarity is very near. It's immediately available. So this song describes that state. बेखुदी में भी करार आता नहीं. So this poet is very, very close to enlightenment, because that thirst has been felt, the thirst has been experienced and expressed. बेखुदी में भी कराता नहीं, कोई सागर दिल को बहलाता नहीं. बेखुदी में भी कराता नहीं. मैं कोई पत्थर नहीं, इंसान हूँ. मैं पत्थर नहीं, इंसान हूँ. कैसे कह दूँ गम से घबराता नहीं. सागर दिल को बहलाता नहीं. जिंदगी के आईने को तोड़ दो. जिंदगी के आईने को तोड़ दो. इसमें अब कुछ भी नजर आता नहीं. कोई सागर दिल को बहलाता नहीं. So इस हद तक जब प्यास है, इस हद तक कि बेखुदी में भी करार आता नहीं, उतनी जब प्यास होगी तब जाकर सुबह होगी. Becoming a monk doesn't make you enlightened. Becoming a monk doesn't make you enlightened. But becoming a monk says, that I'm so desperate for the answer that I'm willing to give up everything. My comfort, my time, my wealth, everything I'm willing to give up. And it is this desperation which leads to enlightenment. This desperate search for truth, just like Vivekananda's desperation, just like Angulimal's desperation, and just like this poet. कौन है poet भैया देख लेते हैं. गाया तो है दिलीप कुमार ने. रफी जी ने गाया है. दिलीप कुमार is the actor, but from दिल दिया दर्द लिया, कोई सागर दिल को बहलाता नहीं. हाँ, शकील बदायूनी. शकील बदायूनी. So, कैसा लगा गाना अमृता?
बहुत सुंदर.
Yeah, this is from the previous generation. पांडे जी ने सुना है, मैंने सुना है.
मैं उसको सागर की जगह अभी तक शायर समझता था. शायर को शायर सूझता है, कोई शायर दिल को बहलाता नहीं.
नहीं नहीं नहीं, कोई सागर. हाँ, कोई सागर, यानी जहां भी इन द वर्ल्ड ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट्स में कहीं भी जाता हूं, चाहे नशे वाला सागर हो या कोई और सागर हो, इन द वर्ल्ड ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट्स दिल को नहीं बहलाता, और बेखुदी तक पहुंच जाता हूं, फिर भी करार नहीं मिलता. It is a desperate search for the inner self. It is a desperate search for the truth. So, yeah.
गाना तो कई बार सुना था.
हाँ.
लेकिन आज समझ में आया. इस ढंग से कभी देखा भी नहीं था और सोच भी नहीं सकता कि इस ढंग से देखा जा सकता है.
Correct, correct, correct. Yes, right.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful realization. Yep. So, and the comedy kaho ya tragedy kaho, comedy and the tragedy of this whole situation is that it is, if you simply look, it is so obvious. When you think that I will find this satisfaction in the world of objects, in this dream, and I continue to live in this dream, उसमें कहीं ना कहीं मुझे जिस पर्दे पर ये फिल्म चल रही है वो दिख जाएगी, ये पर्दा दिखेगा. It's like the hero. मान लो एक मूवी चल रही है, वो हीरो उस मूवी में, मूवी के अंदर उस पर्दे को ढूंढ रहा है जिस पर ये वो चलचित्र चल रहा है. Then naturally is desperate. वो सेट में, वो मूवी के सेट में कहीं चाहे चले जाए, उसको वो पर्दा नहीं नजर आएगा. He may go in the movie, he may travel to the moon, he may go to the end of the earth, end of the universe, in a bar or in anywhere, nowhere in the movie. As long as he is in the movie, he will not find the screen on which the movie is going on. It is only when he questions his reality, कि क्या ये जो चल रहा है वो सत्य है क्या? Is it really true? And what is it which is, if that actor in the movie asks himself the question, is this the truth? And he says, how do I find this truth about me? Who am I? ये मैं जो ये movie में तो मैं hero बन के घूम रहा हूँ. Is this the truth about me? And he raises that question. वो question एक बार आ गया. Then he looks around and he says, अरे जहां भी मैं देखता हूँ ये सब बदल रहा है. हर एक सीन, ये सीन फिर वो सीन, ये हीरोइन फिर वो हीरोइन, ये विलन फिर वो विलन, ये बार फिर वो बार, ये मुसीबत फिर वो मुसीबत, एक के बाद एक बदलती जा रही है ये सीन. तो ये बदलती है लेकिन मैं तो वही का वही हूं, मैं तो वही हूं. तो मैं ये कोई सीन नहीं हो सकता. तब जाके एक एहसास होगा कि शायद मेरा भी कोई, मैं भी यहाँ हूं फिर वहां हूं, मैं भी बदल रहा हूं. कल वाले सीन में मैं बच्चा था, आज वाले सीन में मैं बड़ा हो गया. तो ये भी तो असलियत क्या है मेरी? तो शायद ये भी जो बदलता है वो नहीं हूं मैं. और जो नहीं बदलता है, जिस पर ये चलचित्र चल रहा है, जो कभी नहीं बदलता है, उसका एक बीज मन में उत्पन्न हो जाएगा कि this life, everything is changing. Then what is it that is not changing? And that must be the real me, because all this changing stuff is coming and going and I'm still me. So ye jab, then he eventually he will fall back on himself and see the screen on which the movie of his life is happening. Actually, there is a movie in which somebody did make this attempt, where the hero on the screen steps out of the screen into the theater. I will look up what that movie is. I think it's a Woody Allen movie, and maybe we can all see it together on one of the open door. It's an English movie. So there is this girl who goes to the theater, and her own life is very tragic and she's very sad, but she keeps on going to this movie every day, every afternoon. वो black and white picture है, उसमें चली जाती है और movie देखती है, and loses herself in that movie somehow, her life. And the actor, the hero of that movie, suddenly looks at the audience and looks at her and says, weren't you here yesterday also? You were here yesterday also. What are you doing here? And the rest of the actors in the film are like, what are you doing? ये क्या कर रहे हो तुम? ये movie चल रही है, movie में चलो, आगे बढ़ो. But he looks out at her and actually steps out of the screen and goes to her. And the whole story happens after that. Very, very beautiful movie. So this is the enlightenment. This is the process. This is what we are looking for, is to wake up from this dream and re-enter the dream, knowing that it is a dream. Re-entering the dream, knowing it is a dream. Bringing that to this. Bringing the qualities of the screen, the qualities of the medium on which the story of life is happening. The medium is love, the medium is truth. Uski qualities फिर से इस कहानी में शामिल. How to bring that to this. मैं जो हूँ उसको मैं इसमें कैसे शामिल करूं. I was looking at वो जो Sufi dance, if you have seen. Have you seen the Sufi dance? But chalo, next time we'll talk about that. Remind me next time. The Sufi dance. And what that means. But in the meantime, ask yourself, who am I? Who am I? Let that become such a burning question. आखिर में ये क्या है? सच्चाई क्या है? मैं कौन हूँ? And the answer is not important, but asking it is even more important. And out of the asking of that question, whatever comes, whatever the response, bringing that into life is what the whole journey is about. Wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here and for sharing this time with me. And Hari Om Tat Sat, I love you all.